Not so long ago, the idea of Saudi Arabia as a leader in global fintech might have seemed distant. But today, a quiet revolution is underway, fueled by innovation, supported by regulation, and steered by extraordinary talent, shaping the future of finance in the kingdom.
Saudi absolutely will be the fintech hub of the region. We see fintech as a key enabler to Vision 2030.
The Saudi vision is created to bring a bright future.
I think it's the intersection of regulators, technology, and the changing customer demands and expectations. We are seeing a complete revamp in Saudi Arabia today once it comes to fintech.
When we look at Vision 2030, the Saudi fintech story, it's really been seen as aspirational.
Fintech in Saudi Arabia has experienced remarkable growth in just 5 to 7 years.
We are in a market that's very open, very dynamic.
Under Vision 2030, fintech became a national priority.
It's proven by the number of licensed fintechs in a very short period of time.
I think it's essential to win Saudi if you're going to win the region.
The financial innovation is not a new phenomenon to the Saudi Central Bank. However, the emergence of the new technology had introduced new business models. The Saudi Central Bank, SAMA, is adopting financial innovation since the early 90s. That goes long back when SAMA established the National Payment Scheme in the early 90s until 2018, where SAMA launched its regulatory sandbox. Ultimately, this approach allows us to strike the right balance between enabling financial innovation while maintaining financial stability.
In 2018, the Financial Sector Development Program laid out a plan to modernize the entire financial system in the kingdom, and fintech was built into the blueprint.
The program defined the stakeholders. One of them is Munshaat. The central bank is a major player in there as a regulator, and Capital Market Authority, CMA. Also, they created Fintech Saudi to incubate fintechs, to be close to the innovators, to the entrepreneurs who want to pursue their dreams in fintech industry.
This film is the story of how fintech became not just a sector, but a strategy. I'm Somi Aryan, and in this episode of my documentary series In the Kingdom, I'm diving into one of the most dynamic sectors, fintech. And where better to start than where it all began, the banks. So I sat down with leaders from some of Saudi Arabia's most influential banks to hear how they're navigating and shaping the fintech revolution.
We mainly focus on accelerating financial innovation through collaboration. And the way we are looking at it is how we can find the best internally and externally from global market, bring the best innovations globally into the kingdom. And I would say the main defining factor is our collaboration, how we collaborate with local and international fintech to accelerate the pace of innovation.
The core vision is really threefold. Number one, it's of course about making money. Investments to be valuable to the shareholder require returns. Second objective is to be a window for the bank on the world of fintech and the latest developments, latest technologies, and to look for strategic as well as more tactical synergies. And thirdly is to make a contribution to the overall vision for fintech and the financial services sector in the kingdom, which itself, as you know, is part of Vision 2030.
I believe that it is very important to support the fintechs. Looking at them as competitors is not the way how it works. Actually, they are their enablers, complementers also. They are great in dedication and thinking. So they are more agile usually than the big banks. We are even investing in some of the fintechs also.
I think in Saudi Arabia, traditional banks start to, raise the bar. We have reached a very mature state when it comes to our digital offering. Our digital transformation or our journey with fintechs started long ago. We believe in the partnership with fintechs because it brings the strength between the bank and the fintechs into the table. So the bank can provide scalability, trust, and all the regulatory experience. At the same time, fintechs, they can bring agility, innovation.
Digital maturity is one of the main pillars in our strategy, creating a new venture, acquiring strategic fintechs, and partner with more than 40 fintechs through direct collaboration. Our aim is to empower fintech to scale faster, innovate, and expand across the payment, lending, and wealth management.
While the banks have welcomed and supported fintech in the kingdom, it is forward-thinking regulation that helped accelerate the sector's growth. The transformation of financial services in Saudi Arabia wasn't left to chance. It was architected.
One of the major developments that we are proud of is the prudent growth and maturity of the fintech sector. As a regulator and consistent with our mandate, our aim is to ensure strength and resilience of the financial infrastructure, to maintain the stable financial condition which helps foster sustainable growth.
We connect the ecosystem players through our initiatives. Our main initiative is to be the catalyst of the fintech ecosystem within Saudi. Started 7 years ago with awareness about what is fintech to the market, how do you start a fintech idea, to how you scale, how you grow regionally and internationally. CMA use both approach for being a proactive to the market and reactive to the market. We do a lot of research to anticipate the market, to come and approach us with the new ideas and innovative business model. And being reactive to the market is by establishing the Fintech Lab. The Fintech Lab is a sandbox that allows the innovator to test their business model.
This wasn't a case of restrictive regulation, but of frameworks that cater to prudent innovation. With tools like regulatory sandboxes, controlled environments where fintechs can test products under supervision, regulatory clarity provided startups with the space to grow and prove what's possible.
Using the sandbox framework and friendly regulatory framework will help us to innovate and make sure we have a controlled environment to test the product and help the market to see the result and make sure that we are not harming the consumer by producing a new product without testing it.
Regulations frame the environment, but what's it like to actually build within it? For founders in the kingdom, working with regulators isn't just about compliance. It's about close collaboration.
You have a regulator that listens and willing to change. And this is something that if you go to any global regulator, they are not at the same as speed as the Saudi regulators, whether name it's SAMA or CMA, because the main driver is the vision.
What happened when SAMA initiated the sandbox was a revolution. They'll go with you step by step. They want you to succeed. They know this is a learning curve for both parties. I remember the early days of Sandbox. When we get accepted, they give us the list of conditions for no object to operate. We comply all of it, we complete it, we go back to them, and we're up and running.
We believe SAMA is playing a role that is way beyond regulations. They are guiding us. They keep pushing us to innovate. There are very clear paths. It's either we innovate within a framework or there is another path where basically we can innovate outside of this framework through a sandbox initiative that was created by SAMA.
The input of regulator when it comes to the KYC open banking, it is a game changer. This is enhancing the ecosystem and empowering the fintech company to onboarding the merchants faster.
They have strict measures in place, and that is extremely needed to have a solid financial services, but also fintech sector. Because historically, there was a perception fintech is not secure, it's not safe. With SAMA's credibility and their strict supervision gives that credibility. On the other side, if we face challenges with any of regulations, we raise it up, we have a discussion, and we can get no objections or exceptions if it is right for all the ecosystem.
As a foreigner with experience in other countries, my relationship with the regulator here in every aspect is that there is a compass, there is a place we go together, which is basically ruled by the vision, what we want to achieve. And what you would see here is the regulator is actually pushing you, which is very impressive. So they know where to take you and they go with you. And that's unique.
Since we are certified by SAMA, it is almost 5 years now. The trust that we are having as a market and community by the foreign investors is something unexpected. And this mainly plays a very important role by the central bank, protecting the infrastructure of the fintech, protecting the governance of the ecosystem, raising their trust.
We deal with our regulator. It's not just only a regulator. We deal with them as a one team. One goal for us is to make sure that Saudi take the right position as the leader of the fintech industry.
An example of SAMA's agility is its sandbox dedicated to open banking, allowing startups to experiment with valuable financial services infrastructure.
A bit of history here. Open banking as an idea was floating with the central bank for a long time, since I think 2017 or 18. There's a team from the central bank went to the UK to see how the models are working there, looked at everything, came back and decided to create a sandbox cohort specifically for open banking. The first company to actually launch with open banking services in the kingdom is Malaya. The topic of open banking is sensitive with banks because it entails data of users. That was really challenging. So we went through multiple iterations. It was very quick. We launched in Feb 2020. We connected with all banks early January 23. And since then, we have served hundreds of thousands of users.
And for investors like Impact 46, that kind of regulatory clarity isn't just helpful, it's foundational. It creates the conditions for capital to move with confidence.
Well, fintech is completely reliant on regulations. It's hard to imagine any fintech sector marking progress without the support of regulators. We've been really lucky to have strong regulators that have a strong understanding of the market, well aware of the changes that are happening and all the disruptions that are happening, well connected with the outside world. We're glad that we're in a market that has strong and open-minded regulators at the same time. You rarely find regulators that are strong and open-minded, and I think we're lucky to have both here.
We were actually the first investors in the first fintech regulated by SAMA, and I think SAMA has been very flexible from day one in terms of listening to opinions, developing the regulatory requirement, and opening up the testing environment for a lot of the fintechs. And looking at the scene today, I think we're at a much advanced position and in line with a lot of mature other countries, such as UK or Europe.
SAMA's support extends beyond fintech startups. When STC Pay made the leap from a digital wallet to a fully licensed bank, it was one of the most comprehensive regulatory transitions in the sector.
During the transition from a digital wallet to a fully licensed bank, our relation with SAMA was both strategic and continuous. We were engaged in a proactive and a transparent mode to fulfill the digital banking guidelines, ending up by the commercial launch for STC Bank.
While SAMA oversees most of the kingdom's fintech sector, not all activities fall under its umbrella. For fintechs operating in capital markets, providing investment platforms, robo-advisors, or crowdfunding services, regulatory oversight comes from the Capital Market Authority, or CMA.
We establish a regulatory requirement that fits the innovation. It has some controls just to limit the impact of the risk that the market may expose to, but we bear in mind a lot of requirement and do a lot of exemptions to support this innovation to be tested.
These fintechs are operating at the intersection of technology and financial services and are helping open up entirely new ways for individuals to participate in Saudi financial markets.
We are part of the Fintech Sandbox from CMA. One of the services that we provide to our clients is investments of their savings into the market. And we are aware that in order to make technology available, some rules need to be tested.
We're building the regulation and the innovation at the same time. Those two things usually don't go hand in hand. Regulators are there to organize the innovation and make it safe for individuals.
We are working closely with the Fintech Lab in CMA. They have been very supportive in helping us to work in the market and develop this market.
CMA has encouraged inclusion of retail investors in all types of investments. So back in 22, they came up with a fintech license, which is called distribution of private funds. Prior to that, private funds were only accessible to institutions and high net worth clients. Through this fintech license, CMA has allowed private funds or retail investor access, with a limit though, to those private funds.
As the fintech space in the kingdom grows, building in it isn't without its challenges. In my conversation with founders, investors, and enablers, 3 recurring topics emerged: the pace of change, access to talent, and the perception of high valuations. Let's start with the first. How do you build for long term when everything is moving so fast?
The challenge in reality is a speed of change, because technology is growing fast. This is one. Customer demand is also growing. because technology educate them to come up with something very fast. If you don't adapt to change very fast, you'll be left behind. There are a lot of examples that have been left behind. Do the right thing based on your know-how, based on your knowledge, and adjust as you go.
The second challenge? Talent. While the pool is growing, attracting and retaining the right people, especially with fintech experience, remains a work in progress. And it's not just a local issue. Given the pace of technology evolution, combined with growth in fintech, the pressure is being felt globally.
Building a team, it's the most important thing, and it's also very challenging. But because of the changes that Saudi is going through, the transformation in general, it became an appealing destination for people to go for, not only expat, but also young graduates who usually when they graduate, they want to join the SCCs of the world or the biggest, company in the block. But now, if you go around in Saudi, you would see many will want to join a startup. They want to be part of a young company.
Building a strong team in fintech coming with its own challenges. There is a market competition over talent. There is a culture and mindset change for the people who are going to drive the show in an environment driven by innovation.
I think the main challenge with scaling a company like Tabby that is a very tech-first financial services company, what that means is that access to talent is very difficult. It just means that all these new startups are all seeking that same talent pool, and that talent pool isn't growing as fast as the demand for it is growing. But we have plans to grow the engineering base here, and we think we can do that. It just needs a bit more time to grow, to find the right mentorship, to create shadow programs.
As the ecosystem matures and draws global interest, questions around valuations are to be expected, especially from international investors. Understanding the nature of and growth in the Saudi market can provide valuable context.
I think the challenge here is that we don't have a shortage of capital at the early stage, and everyone wants to do an early stage. So I think one is targeting the right VCs and investors and PEs later on to come and invest in the region. The second point is later on, once we see 20, 30, 50, 100 successful stories with exits, investors are going to start digesting those high valuations. The upside is massive. We've seen multiple companies exceeding the $1 billion with only 1 or 2 rounds of funding. So actually, the depth of margins in the Saudi market is a little bit higher than the other markets, which allows the companies to request and ask for a higher valuation.
It's a natural or organic result of high growth. So the expectations become high from both the investors and the founders. Everyone is focused on growth at all costs, which is the typical VC Silicon Valley model, which might not work for every single market. And taking that and applying it exactly in the market, I think, was one of the issues.
I really think there is supply and demand to each market. People just tend to not really focus on how big the market really is in case A, but rather look at the West or the East as a comparison. If you just look at the past 3 years in Saudi, you would see where we were and where we are today. I don't think you would see any country that have been in a similar pace reaching actually similar results.
I think a big part that international investors have to get accustomed to is also understanding the local dynamic, how to negotiate these deals, how to make sure they're paying the right price locally. And that would take also investments from the international investor in one, hiring local talent, understanding the dynamic and spending more time locally.
Beyond the capital, I think what is quite important is that this fintech is largely a local business, and so having feet on the ground, understanding the local market and local nuances and the challenges that consumers in those markets perceive and see, what is very, very important. And so for us, ensuring that we had a full-fledged team on the ground from day one was quite essential. More so than that, working closely with the regulator and ensuring that we have full alignment with where we wanted to take the business, also quite essential.
We've heard about the challenges, yet investors continue to look to the kingdom with growing interest. I wanted to find out what makes this market so attractive and why so many are choosing to invest here.
What we were looking for in an overseas market was an economy that was going to be digital first. And When we studied Saudi Arabia in more detail, what we found was there was a top-down and a bottom-up mandate to digitize their financial services, and also for the incumbent financial services companies wanting to stay relevant.
There's the size and scale of the unmet need. So there's a huge amount of unmet need, desire, hunger for fintech solutions and a real demand for it. Number two is regulatory tailwinds. In other markets, regulations can often become a headwind that prevents people from operating quickly. Here, no, there's clear boundaries set that allow people to push them proactively to innovate.
Regulations are being shaped by the public. They're being shaped by market participants. Whenever a new set of regulation is in draft, it goes out for public consultation. People can provide their input. You'll often find key decision makers out in the public, hosting workshops, sitting down with investors, sitting down with entrepreneurs, listening to their feedback. In fact, we've been fortunate enough to see some of our feedback make it into some pieces of regulation. And it just tells you that you're dealing with an environment that's highly, highly dynamic.
We have a lot of support from the regulators. We have the investors that are ready to invest. We have the infrastructure. There's a lot of changes here to support the development of fintechs. And as you know, with Vision 2030, there is a huge alignment from everyone within the country to support the progress of fintechs.
What excites me in the financial sector is the infrastructure that we have in Saudi Arabia. We have a very good infrastructure when it comes to banking system, when it comes to payment gateway, regulation, ease of doing business, also sandbox, and the government are helping a lot for the entrepreneur and also for the fund manager like us is to come and start invest in this asset class.
With the ecosystem maturing, I wanted to know what areas of fintech that people believe hold the most potential for growth in the years ahead.
We're focusing a lot on consolidation plays where we think there is room to consolidate multiple services in one. With the growth that happened over the last 7 years, we think we can play a role in building a champion within different pockets. Generally, I would say we'd like to help someone become a consolidator in this innovative and exciting industry.
Now we're doubling down on AI-based fintech. And I'm not talking about, you come to me as a founder and tell me, hey, I have this AI feature within my fintech company. It's how you as a founder are building your fintech company on an AI infrastructure. The other thing is that we're looking at how can we bring in global talent who understand that component of technology to support founders that are executors here but understand the local regulatory environment.
Right now, what's most exciting, driven by a lot of the recent developments in terms of tech evolution, has been more embedded, personalized solutions. And being able to kind of connect the different systems and make the process run smoother for everybody is something I'm very, very excited about. There are two others. One is the democratization of wealth tech, and finally, SME services.
After everything we've explored, the challenges, the opportunities, the transformation, I asked each person, what would you say to international investors thinking about entering the Saudi fintech market? Here's what they had to say.
To global investors, I say Saudi Arabia has evolved to be a regional innovation hub. The fundamentals are solid, the appetite for innovation is high, and the backing from leadership is real. This is the moment to get in, build long-term partnership, and shape the future of fintech in one of the world's most transformative economies.
There are multiple things to look at. One, the regulator. We have a regulator that adopted very progressive policies to enable fintech companies to work in the kingdom, including the sandbox. Number two, we have one of the best digital infrastructures in the world. We have very tech-savvy population, and we have a thriving VC community and a VC scene here in Saudi Arabia, which enables the fintech companies to access these funds.
I can't think of a better market that has the growth potential along with the dynamic regulators, a strong exit prospect. It feels like the perfect storm for any eager investor. I think it's an opportunity not to be missed, and I hope we get to see more sophisticated institutional investors come and participate with us.
I believe from 2025 to 2030 we would see a trend of M&A, be it mergers, between fintech startups or acquisitions by bank or capital markets firm.
Saudi Arabia represents a unique opportunity for the international investors in fintech, not because of the market size, but because of the country vision and the base for the transformation led by SAMA and CMA to accelerate international and local investors' appetite to invest in the fintech industry.
What makes the kingdom unique is the combination of scale, capital, and momentum. International players have the opportunity to co-create the future of finance alongside with the local champions.
Saudi is the place to be to grow your innovations, and this is the promise and the feeling and the vibe we have seen from global innovators and investors that are looking into the financial sector.
I would really encourage everybody to not miss out the opportunity. Nationwide, everybody is very serious about making sure that we create the right environment for everyone to operate.
We're lucky to live in a country where the full infrastructure is provided in the most secure way. Government support is available. Private sector is always enabling and seeing them as a partner, that they are not really a competitor.
It's one of the places on earth where there is more change happening than just about anywhere else. I've never seen anything that comes close to it. The pace at which things are happening here and especially the productive role that government plays with regard to top-down enablement and top-down guidance makes for an acceleration of ecosystem development that I haven't seen anywhere else.
I think, within the next 5 to 10 years, Saudi will always stay as the leader of this industry. This is one. The second thing is we will also help the globe, as it is an actual role for us to make sure that we provide the best financial services and also help everyone that is working with us to make sure that they drive the financial industry and financial inclusion to the right direction.
Our goal to become a global fintech hub would be as a result of our resilient financial sector and the stability in the Saudi financial sector.
While the fintech strategy is aiming to be a global hub of fintech, CMA is working aligned with this mission to make the capital market ready for this momentum. It is a commitment to the market for development.
As we move forward, we will see more of Saudi startups expanding regionally and internationally. How Fintech Saudi will support? We actually develop new initiatives based on the challenges, based on the new needs that emerge within the fintech companies.
We're seeing huge traction from international investors and also startups. Our program at Money 2020 Middle East has actually grown by over 80%. And we talk to investors on a daily basis. So we already have confirmations from the likes of BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and also local investment arms like PIF. Fintech adoption rates are among the highest in the world, and the investors that we're working with, they're particularly interested in infrastructure plays. They really want to know how they can work with startups operating in payment, banking, credit, and AI regulation. They really want the opportunity to plug in early. The tone has shifted from we're watching to we're moving in, and you can really feel that energy.
I would say just join. It's an amazing playground for entrepreneurs to innovate. It's a perfect blend between the West and the East, with the adoption of the best technology in both markets.
What we're witnessing in Saudi Arabia isn't just a fintech story. It's the story of transformation, of possibility, and of bold ideas becoming policy, then product, then reality. The foundations are in place: regulation, capital, ambition. But what comes next will depend on those willing to build, to back, and to believe. And if what we've seen so far is any indication, the future of finance in the kingdom has only just begun.